Greetings and welcome. When I started this morning, it was a nice summer's day. I thought I was in for a nice ride, but the rain's come in and I know I am very much damp. In fact, I'm soaked. But today's ride wasn't the normal kind of ride what I do. I'd come to have a look at a new cycle path which the local council have installed on the road behind me. Now, the reason they said they put the cycle path in was to allow people to cycle more safely from the centre of Leigh to Pennington Park and Pennington Flash. Now, Pennington Flash is, if you look to the opposite direction where I'm looking now, can you see the red and white sign? Not the 30-mile-an-hour sign, the other one for the fire station. Well, the entrance to Pennington Flash, actually there's a car just coming out now. Down there. That's the entrance to Pennington Flash. Okay. And from where the 30-mile-an-hour sign is, there is actually a cycle lane on the road for people to use. Now, this junction behind me, I tend to avoid. I don't like it. It's not exactly the easiest to navigate through, and that's why I usually go through Pennington Flash, underneath the subway over that direction, and then rejoin Saint Helens Road behind me further down. On the previous videos you would have seen me do that. Anyway, I'm going to take you for a ride down Saint Helens Road into the central Leigh. Like I said, the first part of it, there is a cycle lane, and it's only later on where you get the new cycle path. So they've spent well over 6 months installing this cycle path. It has caused absolute chaos for drivers using this section of road, or that section of road, and allegedly it had cost £250,000. So let's go and have a look what it's like. The other thing is, today is a Sunday, so hopefully there's not going to be many cars on the route. I do intend to come back later on this week during the working week and see what it's like when there are more cars, traffic around. So like I said, let's get that high wheel a-rolling. So as we set off down Saint Helens Road, you can clearly see the cycle lane marked out, and we've got quite a bit of a gap for cars to get past us. So we'll just keep cycling along, and you can see what was here before they put the cycle track in. As I said, there's a cycle lane both on this side, and if you look across you can also see the cycle lane on the other side for cyclists obviously coming out of Leigh. But the road has narrowed a bit, but no problem, even with the cars parked in the cycle lane. It doesn't cause much difficulty in cycling along this stretch. So it's a nice wet day. Probably the camera's picking up all the water, so I don't know how much you can see until I check later on. That was nice of them, at least they've stopped, so I can get past them. Morning. So like I say, we'd left Pennington Flash, or near the entrance to Pennington Flash, and we're now coming up to where Pennington Park is, or the entrance to Pennington Park on Saint Helens Road. I don't know what this car's doing. So obviously causing a bit of a problem for the other cars. So just round this corner I think is where Pennington Park is.
.4 of a mile.
Oh, well, so like I said though, we've done 0.4 of a mile, past the speed camera. I didn't get caught by it. I would say my average speed down here is probably only about 10 miles an hour. But as we're looking, we can see where Pennington Park is. And there's the bandstand at the entrance. Now I might put a cycle path in. Maybe they should have smoothed out the road a bit for me. Oops. Slow down for the pedestrian crossing. And like I say, we've still got the cycle lane marked on the road, so it's keeping the cars slightly away. Now we're coming up to where the new cycle path starts. And what I would normally do here when I'm cycling is turn right to avoid heading through the centre of Leigh. That's Bonneville Road, I think, on the right hand side.
Oh, then, yeah, by all means, yeah. Wow. 0.7 of a mile.
Of a mile, that's how far we've done. On the left hand side you can see the pathway going down, which I tend to use when I, well, as I say, I cut out the traffic lights where I started from. The path there leads back to Pennington Flash. The road on the left, which got plenty of vision for anyone driving out of that road. This cycle path does seem a bit narrow, but, and they've narrowed the path as well, so hopefully we won't get too busy. Now the next road on the left, where the car's turning into, is a one-way street, so hopefully nothing will be coming out from that road. But, these poles in the middle of the cycle path, I can understand they want to keep the two lanes separate, but it does narrow it down quite a bit. So now we've got what they call an island bus stop, and we've got to go around the back, which aren't too bad, but people getting off the buses do just tend to walk across the path, so you've got to be careful. And this junction here, if anyone's coming out, I'm almost on the junction before they'll be able to see me. But, so back onto the pavement here. And as you can see the sign, it's now saying I have to cross over the road at this pedestrian crossing. Not too bad today, there's not much traffic, but that is a tight corner for me to get round. A regular bike would have had no trouble though. And now up Leigh Bridge.
1 mile.
And that's 1 mile we've gone, so the cycle path is about 1/4 of a mile long. And what can I see here on the post in the middle of the path? Yeah. In case you didn't see it, I'll just back up a bit. That's the end of the cycle route. So where they expect me to go from here, I've got no idea. No drop curb, I'm on the wrong side of the road and the traffic lights are up there. Greetings and welcome. I did say at the start of the video that I was going to re-ride the new Leigh cycle path during the week to see how it compared to a Sunday afternoon ride and one when there was more traffic around. I've decided against that for a few reasons. I'm looking at this new cycle path from my point of view and how I would use it. Everyone has their own opinions, and I'd be interested to know what you think about the new Leigh cycle path. I ride for exercise and something to do. It gets me out, stops me lounging in front of the telly all day long, and I enjoy riding the penny-farthing around. But if you check the previous videos I've done, you can probably understand a bit on how I plan my rides on the penny-farthing. First of all, the ride has to be safe. That's why I like cycle paths. It keeps me away from cars and other vehicles. The ride also has to be convenient. It either has to get me somewhere I want to go, or it has to have very few steep hills and a lot of rest stops, so I can have a rest or a snack or a drink whilst I'm out riding. This new Leigh cycle path is neither of them, from my opinion, and I also think it's dangerous for cyclists. I did say on the video that I normally turn off Saint Helens Road and go around, is it Bonneville Road, to skirt the centre of Leigh to avoid the traffic, and I find it a lot more relaxing going that way, and I'm almost certainly going to continue doing that. I doubt if I'll be using the new cycle path many times. Now, allegedly this new cycle path has cost £250,000. Can anyone either confirm or rebuke this? I'd be interested to know if it did actually cost that much, because £250,000, I could get over 100,000 Yates and Greer's pork pies for that. But being serious, going back to the cycle path, what the Leigh Council have installed compared to what was there before. Well, there used to be a cycle lane on the road all the way from the traffic lights near Pennington Flash up to the traffic lights at Twist Lane, on both sides of the road, so whichever way you're going, you was on the right side of the road for that. Now, as you're travelling into Leigh, you have to stop and cross the road just before Leigh Bridge. On the Sunday there wasn't much traffic and I could get across fairly easily. I would say during the week when there's more traffic, you pretty much would have to stop and use the Pelican crossing to stop the traffic. You're then on the wrong side of the road as you head up Leigh Bridge, and the cycle path stops near the top of the bridge. So like I say, you're now on the wrong side of the road. There's no drop curb to rejoin the road, plus you have to get across two lines of traffic. Not something I would enjoy doing. In my opinion, I think the design team who designed this cycle path either hate cyclists or they've not rode a bike since they were about 3-year-old. I also realise that the council have to spend so much money, or a certain amount of money, on things like cycle ways. So if I had the £250,000, what would I have spent the money on? Well, let's have a look at a map of the area and I'll tell you some of my suggestions to how I would have spent that money. So I don't know if you're aware, but there are plans to have a cycle hub in Tyldesley at the Tyldesley Technical School. These building itself also have plans to have a cafe in the future as well, but there's enough cafes around Tilsley to get a drink. So if we start at the technical school, and if we look at places we might want to cycle to, Pennington Park, Cutacre, Astley-Pit, and even all the way down to the RHS in Boostown. So if you're planning a ride from the cycle hub in Tilsley, you're right on the side of the busway, which will either get you to the outskirts of Leigh or all the way down to Ellenbrook Road. If you cross Ellenbrook Road, there's then a nice cycle track all the way down to Monton. That then gives you the option to join the canal at Monton and travel all the way back to Leigh. Now, I don't tend to use the canal for riding the Penny-Farthing. Obviously, I have trouble getting under the bridges, but in previous years I have cycled all the way from the top lock at Wigan all the way around to past Altrincham, and it used to be a very good cycle track. Once they got rid of the muddy mile in Astley, that is. Another interesting fact is that the busway, or part of the busway, and the cycleway down to Monton is part of the National Cycle Network, Route 55, which runs all the way from Ironbridge up to Preston. The only thing is, it's very fragmented at the moment, but we have got part of it, like I say, from Monton to Tilsley. Then there's a bit of a gap, and it rejoins at near Hindley over the Leeds Liverpool Canal and continues on its way towards Preston. So these are my top 3 suggestions for how I would have spent the money. First of all, you could improve the track down Common Lane up towards Cutacre. Secondly, there is an old mineral line which used to run from Yew Tree Pit down to the canal. Most of this is still walkable, and with a bit of improvement it would be a good cycle track all the way down. This giving you access not only to the canal path but to the Astley Pit, the Mining Museum, or to the RHS in Boostown. I know you're going to say it needs consideration to cross the East Lancashire Road, but if you already look on the East Lancashire Road, they have put pedestrian crossings in before to give safer access in crossing the road. The third option would actually be to try and add another part of the National Cycleway 55 from Tilsley through Howbridge, Hindley Green, up to Hindley itself, along the old railway line. So you've heard my suggestions. I've got a couple of questions for any cyclists in the Leigh area. Firstly, would you use this new cycle path on Saint Helens Road? And if not, why would you not use it? And secondly, if you had the £250,000 to spend on cycle pathways in the Leigh area, what would you have spent it on? And buying 100,000 pies is not an option. Let me know.